The trade hub on Karath 4 was alive with chaos. Ships of every size and shape hovered above the sprawling marketplace, unloading cargo and passengers with loud clanks and hisses. The air was thick with alien smells, spices, and strange mechanical scents. Bright neon signs in dozens of alien languages flickered above crowded stalls, advertising everything from rare gems to living creatures from distant worlds. Captain Marcus Hale walked steadily through the chaos. He was a human, tall and wiry with sun-bleached hair and eyes that had seen too many stars. Most traders ignored him, assuming humans were either weak or unimportant in this galaxy, and Marcus preferred it that way. He liked to move quietly, observe, and make his choices carefully. But today, something in the crowd caught his attention. A small group of aliens had gathered around a raised platform. Curious, Marcus pushed through the crowd. On the platform, a creature was displayed in a shimmering cage. She was unlike anything he had ever seen, tall and lithe with glowing skin that changed color subtly depending on her mood. Her eyes were sharp like a predator's, and they moved constantly, studying the crowd with suspicion and anger. Long dark hair floated around her head as if alive. She hissed and growled, baring teeth that were both beautiful and dangerous. "This one?" a high-pitched, many-eyed alien shouted, lifting its hands. "For 1 credit. Only 1 credit for this wild beauty." The crowd laughed, some of them hooting and pointing at the cage. Others offered a few credits here and there, more out of mockery than interest. The alien woman hissed louder, thrashing against the shimmering force field that contained her. Her voice was melodic but harsh, a warning no one in the crowd seemed to care about. Marcus frowned. Something about her made him pause. Most of the traders here didn't see living beings. They saw items to buy and sell. But he saw her fear, her intelligence, her pride. And for some reason he felt a pull toward her. He approached the auctioneer and placed a single credit on the table. The crowd erupted in laughter. "1 credit?" the auctioneer shrieked. "Do you not understand what you are buying? This creature is dangerous." Marcus didn't answer. He met the alien woman's gaze and she recoiled slightly, eyes narrowing. She wasn't expecting him to pay attention, let alone defend her. Humans were rare here and kind humans were rarer. The auctioneer slapped the credit against the table with a clatter. "Fine. Sold to the human." Immediately, several aliens in the crowd shook their heads, muttering that this human was foolish. They expected trouble, for anyone who claimed her would quickly regret it. Marcus stepped closer to the cage, ignoring their warnings. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said gently, in a language he had learned from translations. The alien woman tilted her head, clearly not understanding his words but sensing his calm tone. She hissed a warning to stay away. "I'm Marcus," he said softly. "You're free now." He reached for the cage controls, and with a soft hiss, the shimmering force field dissolved. The alien woman leaped backward instinctively, claws extended, ready to strike. Marcus froze. He did not move closer. He did not raise a weapon. "I won't hurt you," he repeated. "I promise." For long seconds, they simply stared at each other. The crowd fell silent, sensing something unusual. Most had expected a fight, or a show. But this human was not attacking, and the alien woman was not attacking either. At least not yet. Finally, she lowered her claws slightly, but her body remained tense, ready to spring. Marcus smiled faintly, knowing that trust would not come easily. "I can't stay here," he said, gesturing toward the exits. "We need to leave before others try to take you back." The alien woman sniffed the air, ears flicking. Then she hissed sharply, and without warning she dashed off the platform. Marcus quickly followed, careful not to corner her or force her hand. He had learned long ago that respect, not force, earned loyalty. Outside, the streets of Karath 4 were even more chaotic. Merchants shouted, aliens bargained loudly, and cargo ships zipped overhead. Yet amidst the noise, Marcus noticed something. The alien woman was scanning everything, analyzing escape routes, weaknesses in the crowd. Her eyes were sharp, intelligent, and quick, She was not just wild, she was smart. Dangerous, yes, but also clever. Easy, Marcus said softly, slowing his pace. We just walk, no tricks. She paused, glancing at him. Then, with a low hiss that could have been annoyance or perhaps agreement, she fell into step beside him. They moved through the crowded streets like shadows, unnoticed by most but watched carefully by a few traders who were curious why the human had claimed her. Finally, they reached the outskirts of the market. The bright neon lights faded, replaced by the dull gray of industrial corridors. Marcus led her to his ship, parked in a small docking bay. The alien woman hesitated at the threshold, then looked up at him. I don't trust easily, she said in a language Marcus only partly understood, though he could guess the meaning. I know, Marcus replied. And you don't need to, but I'm not your enemy. For the first time since he saw her in the cage, the alien woman lowered her head slightly. It was not trust, not yet, but it was recognition. Marcus held the door open and she stepped aboard. As the engines roared, to life, Marcus looked at her and wondered how much danger they were stepping into. The galaxy was not kind to the weak or the hunted, yet somehow he felt that choosing to protect her, rather than leave her to the cruelty of others, was the right thing to do. Somewhere in her glowing eyes, he saw the first flicker of understanding. She might never call him a friend, but perhaps she could call him something better, an ally. And in the galaxy of merchants, hunters, and thieves, that small spark of choice, that act of defiance, might be the thing that would change everything. The stars awaited them beyond Karath 4, but the real journey of trust, survival, and discovery was only just beginning. The hum of the ship's engines filled the cabin as Marcus Hale guided the vessel out of Karath 4's busy orbit. Outside, the city lights shrank into tiny dots against the vast darkness of space. Inside, the alien woman, Sayla, as she had finally introduced herself, stood by the viewport, her glowing skin flickering like a living lantern. She didn't speak much. Every movement was cautious, every glance alert. Marcus could tell she expected danger at any moment, and in this galaxy, danger was always nearby. You are fast, Marcus said casually, trying to break the silence. And smart. Why were they selling you like you were nothing? Sayla's eyes flickered with anger and something deeper, sadness perhaps. She spoke in her language, sharp and guttural. Marcus had learned only a few words from his translation devices, but her meaning was clear. She had been hunted. Her people, once proud and numerous, had been almost destroyed by a powerful alien empire. The few survivors were scattered, hiding, or enslaved. They did not want me, she said finally, her voice low. They wanted me gone. Marcus frowned. And the human who pays one credit instead of killing you makes no sense to them. Sayla tilted her head. Why did you? She asked, almost in disbelief. Why did you not let them use me? Marcus smiled faintly. Because it's wrong, he said simply. Because being alive is worth more than any credit or power. You are not property. You are not a prize. Her glowing skin flickered again, faster this time. It was a sign of strong emotion, confusion, maybe even surprise. Sayla had seen humans before, yes, but she had never met one who would act against a crowd, against profit, just for morality. She did not know what to call it. The silence that followed was heavy, but not uncomfortable. It was filled with understanding. Slowly, Sayla lowered her claws from the defensive position she had kept since leaving the market. Marcus noticed the smallest change in her posture, a sign that trust could grow if only slowly. Where will you take me? She asked finally. Somewhere safe, Marcus replied. I don't know where yet, but we'll figure it out. I've done this before? Before? She asked, one eyebrow raised. Before helping someone like me? Marcus chuckled quietly. Before helping people who others think are worthless. I'm human. We sometimes do strange things. Sayla's glowing skin dimmed a little as if she was studying him carefully. Human, strange, she muttered. Hours passed as the ship moved deeper into unclaimed space. Sayla explored cautiously, scanning every corridor, every panel, every lock. Marcus gave her space. He knew that rushing trust would destroy it. Then the warning. Alarms rang. Red lights flashed throughout the ship. Hunters, Marcus said, checking the sensors. They followed us. Sayla's eyes narrowed. They are strong. We are small. Marcus nodded. Yes, but they underestimate humans and our choices. The ship's interior hummed with tension as they prepared for the approaching danger. Marcus activated the shields and weapon systems. Sayla moved closer, and for the first time she offered help, not as a captive but as a partner. She pointed out blind spots in the ship's sensors, predicting the hunters' maneuvers. Together, human and alien worked to navigate the threats. The approaching ships were fast and aggressive, but Marcus relied on quick thinking and unpredictability, weaving through asteroid fields and narrow canyons of space debris. Sayla's knowledge of alien tactics proved invaluable, allowing them to escape ambushes before they even began. At one point, Sayla reached out, almost instinctively, to pull a lever that Marcus hadn't noticed. Here, she said in her broken common. They will. The stars stretched endlessly outside the cockpit, bright pinpricks of light in the infinite black. Marcus Hale's ship glided quietly, almost ghost-like, through the outer edges of unclaimed space. Sayla remained in the observation bay, her glowing skin dimmed to a soft amber. She had stopped hissing or growling, though every movement was careful, measured. Marcus watched her from the pilot's seat, noting how alert she remained. The galaxy had not been kind to her, and she trusted little, but she had survived, and that made her dangerous. Their peace was shattered by the sudden burst of alarm sirens. Red lights flashed along the walls, and the ship shook as a massive energy pulse slammed against the hull. Marcus's heart beat faster, but his hands were steady. Hunters, he muttered. They tracked us from the market. They don't want you free. Sayla's eyes narrowed. They will kill, she said quietly. Her voice was calm, but her claws flexed reflexively. We must fight or hide. Marcus shook his head. Hiding won't help. We need to move fast and smart. He punched several coordinates into the navigation system. The ship's engines roared as it veered toward a dense asteroid field, a dangerous shortcut that most large ships avoided. The pursuing vessels, sleek and armed to the teeth, followed without hesitation. The asteroid field became a deadly maze. Massive rocks floated silently, some spinning, some jagged, all capable of crushing a ship with one wrong move. Sayla's instincts became immediately valuable. Left, she hissed, pointing at a narrow passage Marcus had not considered. They cannot turn quickly there. Marcus swerved sharply, the ship groaning under the stress. The pursuing hunters fired energy blasts, each one narrowly missing as Marcus twisted through the rocks. Sayla leaned over the control panel, giving precise instructions. Up! Quick! Spin! She barked, in broken common, but Marcus understood, perfectly. For the first time, Marcus realized that the alien traders had been wrong. Sayla was not a wild animal to be feared. She was a warrior, clever and precise. Every move she suggested saved them from collisions, every instinct a lifeline. Hours passed like this, the void filled with the hum of engines, the crack of distant energy weapons, and the tense silence between commands. Marcus realized that Sayla, though cautious, had begun to trust his judgment. She did not relax completely, but she stayed at his side, watching, helping, guiding. Then, a sudden explosion rocked the ship. One of the pursuing vessels had fired a direct shot, grazing the hull. Marcus's eyes widened. We can't keep this up much longer, he muttered. Sayla's glowing skin flared brightly, almost white, as she surveyed the damage. We need a trap, she said. They follow. We turn, disappear, wait. Marcus smiled faintly. Humans were known for their cunning, for their unpredictable choices, and Sayla had learned that quickly. All right, he said. We set the trap. He guided the ship into a narrow canyon between two massive asteroids. The walls were too close for the hunters to maneuver their large ships, but just wide enough for Marcus's smaller craft. Sayla leaned over the controls, guiding him precisely. Now, turn sharply when they approach. The pursuing ships followed blindly. As predicted, the canyon forced them into a narrow line, one after the other. Marcus twisted the controls at the last moment, sending his ship spinning through a hidden exit. The hunters, unable to adjust quickly, collided with the canyon walls. Explosions lit up the void like fireworks, and Marcus allowed himself a brief smile. Sayla's glowing skin flickered softly in what seemed like approval. "Smart," she said simply. "Human. Strange. But good." Marcus nodded, his hands still steady on the controls. Sometimes being unpredictable is our advantage. Humans survive because we make choices others cannot predict. For the next few cycles, they traveled through unclaimed space, keeping quiet, avoiding trade routes, and using Marcus's instincts to stay ahead of any further pursuers. Sayla, though still wary, began to show small signs of relaxation. She explored the ship's corridors, learning its layout, testing its systems. Occasionally, she would offer advice: how to conserve energy, how to avoid detection, how to calculate safer jumps. Marcus noticed her intelligence and adaptability, realizing that she was no ordinary alien. She was remarkable. Finally, they reached a small moon orbiting a gas giant. Its surface was rocky and barren, but it offered a chance to rest, repair the ship, and plan their next move. Marcus landed the vessel in a hidden canyon, shutting down the engines. The silence that followed was almost comforting after the chaos of the chase. Sayla stepped out of the cockpit, her glowing skin dimmed in the moonlight. "Why help me?" she asked again, softer this time. Marcus looked at her. "Because someone should. Someone has to stand up to cruelty. I could have left you, let them sell you, let them hurt you. But I didn't. That is what makes humans human. We choose to protect even when it is dangerous, even when no one else cares." Sayla studied him, her eyes reflecting the distant stars. Slowly she nodded. "I understand. Maybe." Marcus smiled faintly. "That's all I ask for now. Understanding can come later. Survival is first." As night fell over the rocky moon, they prepared to rest. Marcus checked the ship's systems, while Sayla patrolled the perimeter, keeping watch. Trust was fragile, but it existed. In the galaxy, where cruelty and greed often ruled, a human had made a choice to protect someone weaker, someone different. And that choice, Marcus knew, was more powerful than any weapon. Somewhere deep in the stars, the hunters regrouped, furious at their failure, but Marcus and Sayla were already planning their next move, relying on each other's strengths, preparing for the challenges to come. The void was wide, dangerous, and unpredictable, but Marcus had learned that even in the darkest reaches of space, courage, intelligence, and moral choices could light a path forward. The moon was quiet now, the only sounds coming from the occasional gust of wind across the rocky surface. Marcus Hale sat in the cockpit, running diagnostics on the ship. Sayla stood nearby, her glowing skin a soft gold under the pale light. She had patrolled the area, checking for any sign of the hunters, and now she observed Marcus with cautious interest. "Your ship is small but strong," she said finally. "It survived their attack." Marcus glanced up. "It's designed to be fast and smart. Size matters less than thinking ahead." Sayla tilted her head. "Thinking? Humans think differently?" Marcus chuckled. "Sometimes, yes. We survive because we make choices others might not. Quick choices, moral choices, risky choices. All of them together make humans, well, interesting." She studied him, trying to understand. The galaxy had taught her to fear, to fight, to survive alone. Humans, she realized slowly, were unpredictable. but not in the chaotic way of most aliens. Humans chose, consciously. They could protect, even when it was dangerous. They could act for someone else, not just for themselves. Sayla approached the ship's systems console, her fingers brushing the controls. "Can I help?" she asked. Marcus raised an eyebrow. "You can if you want, but you have to trust me." Sayla hesitated, then nodded. Slowly, carefully, she began to follow his instructions. Together, they repaired minor damage to the hull, reinforced shields, and recalibrated the engines. For the first time, Marcus noticed how naturally she learned, how quickly she adapted to his instructions. She wasn't just following orders. She was thinking, planning, anticipating. "You are smart," Marcus said. "More than they realized." Sayla's skin pulsed faintly. "I survive, that is all." "No," Marcus said softly. "You do more than survive. You adapt. You think. You choose. That is what makes a difference." Hours passed in shared work, the quiet of the moon providing space for reflection. Sayla, usually tense and alert, began to relax in small ways. She tested the ship's small weapon systems, not to fight, but to understand their function. Marcus explained each system carefully, emphasizing defense, not attack. "You humans trust too easily," Sayla said, her tone almost teasing. "And too rarely. Strange." Marcus smiled. "We learn trust differently. We know it is risky, but sometimes it is worth it. Without trust, nothing grows. No friendship, no alliance, no survival." Sayla considered his words, looking at him with an expression that was hard to read. Slowly, she stepped closer, peering at the controls again. "Maybe humans are not so weak," Marcus laughed. "We are weak in some ways, yes, but we survive, and we protect. That is the difference." As night deepened on the barren moon, Marcus suggested they rest. They took turns keeping watch, though both stayed near the ship. Sayla patrolled the rocky terrain, her senses sharp, while Marcus slept lightly, ears alert to the faintest vibration or sound. In the early hours, Marcus awoke to see Sayla watching him. Her glowing skin reflected the stars. "Why did you save me?" she asked softly. Marcus sat up. "Because it was the right thing to do. You were in danger, and I could help. Someone has to stand up to cruelty. If no one does, then nothing changes." Sayla studied him, her expression unreadable. "Most humans do not act like this." "Maybe," Marcus said, "but some of us do. That is what makes humans special." A long silence followed. Sayla finally nodded, though slowly. It was not trust yet, not friendship, but it was acknowledgement. And in this galaxy, where loyalty was rare and betrayal common, that was enough, for now. The next day, Marcus and Sayla prepared to leave the moon. The calm of deep space was deceptive. Marcus Hale stared at the star map, noting every blip, every signal, every tiny disturbance in the sensor readings. Sayla stood beside him, her glowing skin shifting colors as her sharp eyes scanned the displays. "They are coming," she said quietly in her broken common. "Many, strong. They will not stop." Marcus clenched his jaw. "I know. They think they can take you back. They think we are weak." Sayla's claws flexed slightly. "We are not weak, but they are more. They will destroy if they can." Marcus nodded. "We won't let them." He activated the ship's tactical systems, running simulations and plotting escape routes. The hunters, once a mere nuisance, were now a fleet. Dozens of sleek, armed vessels with one goal: capture Sayla. Marcus's mind raced. He was outnumbered, outgunned, but humans were known for their unpredictability, and he had Sayla's help. Together they might survive. The first hunter ship appeared as a faint glow on the sensors, followed by another, and another, until a dozen were in pursuit. Marcus adjusted the engines, weaving the ship in erratic patterns, using every asteroid and debris field as cover. Sayla leaned over the console, pointing out weak spots in the enemy formation. Left. Their shields are slower there. Now. Marcus twisted the controls sharply, evading the first energy blast, then the second. Each movement was a calculated risk. He knew that even a small mistake could mean destruction. But he also knew that humans were not predictable. They could use creativity, courage, and choice as weapons. Hours passed as the fleet pursued them through asteroid clusters and dark voids. Sayla's instincts were invaluable. She directed Marcus toward narrow gaps, hidden passages, and unstable debris fields where the hunters could not follow without damage. Marcus followed her guidance, relying on both his skill and her insight. Finally, they reached a wide nebula. Its swirling gases interfered with sensors and energy weapons. "Here," Sayla said. "We can hide. We can fight smart, not only strong." Marcus nodded. He opened the tactical systems and prepared for a trap. They would not flee blindly. They would force the hunters into a narrow corridor just as he had done before. But this time, with a more deliberate plan. The hunters followed into the nebula, expecting easy prey. Marcus's ship twisted through, the gaseous clouds, appearing and disappearing like a ghost. Sayla guided him to precise locations where the enemy ship's movements were limited. One by one, the hunters collided with asteroids or misfired on each other. Explosions lit the nebula in brilliant colors, reflecting on the inside of the ship and casting shadows across Marcus's determined face. Sayla's glowing skin pulsed with what seemed like excitement. "Smart. You humans. Strange. But clever," Marcus laughed quietly. "That's what keeps us alive. Sometimes the clever survive when the strong fail." The final ships of the fleet, frustrated and outmaneuvered, attempted a direct attack. Marcus knew they could not last long against sustained fire, but he had another plan. Using Sayla's understanding of alien tactics, they triggered the ship's cloaking and energy misdirection systems. The hunters fired at illusions, wasting their energy and exposing their weak points. Then Marcus made the move he had hoped would end it. He guided the ship through a narrow, twisting asteroid canyon. The hunters, unable to follow quickly, became trapped. Using precise energy pulses, Marcus forced the ships into collisions one after another, until the pursuing fleet had no choice but to retreat. Sayla exhaled slowly, her glowing skin dimming to a calm amber. "They are gone," she said softly. "For now," Marcus nodded, his own heart still racing. "They will return eventually. But we are alive, and we have proven something important. Strength alone does not win. Choice, courage, and cooperation do." Sayla turned to him, her eyes reflecting admiration and something like understanding. "Human, you fight not only for yourself but for me. Not for credit, not for power, for what is right." Marcus smiled faintly. "That is what makes humans different. We protect even when it is risky. We act even when no one else does, and sometimes that choice is more powerful than any weapon." For the first time, Sayla fully acknowledged the meaning of his actions. She no longer saw him only as a protector, but as someone who embodied the courage and morality she had rarely seen in the galaxy. She realized that humans were unpredictable, yes, but in the best way, capable of standing against cruelty, even when outnumbered or outgunned. The two of them drifted quietly through the nebula for a few cycles, repairing minor damage and recalibrating the ship's systems. Sayla taught Marcus new strategies for stealth and evasion, while Marcus shared human ingenuity and quick decision-making tactics. Each learned from the other, forming a bond that was stronger than either expected. As the stars stretched endlessly around them, Marcus knew the real journey had only just begun. The hunters would return, the Empire would not forgive, and dangers would only grow. But Marcus and Sayla had proven that even a single human acting with morality and courage could survive against impossible odds. "I will not forget this," Sayla said finally, her tone quiet but firm. "Your choice saved me." "You don't have to understand fully," Marcus replied. "Just remember that sometimes protecting someone else is stronger than any fleet, any weapon, any empire." The silence that followed was comfortable, filled with respect and shared understanding. They had faced overwhelming odds together, and both had survived. That was more than survival. It was proof of something important, that humans, by their choices and courage, could inspire others even in the darkest corners of the galaxy. And so, human and alien, protector and warrior, prepared for the next challenge, knowing that the galaxy was wide, dangerous, and unpredictable, but that together, they had a chance to survive and perhaps change more than just their own fate. The hunters' retreat was only temporary, but Marcus and Sayla were ready, and the galaxy would learn that a human's courage, combined with choice and morality, could outmatch even the strongest enemies. The stars stretched endlessly around Marcus Hale's ship as it glided through open space. Sayla stood beside him, her glowing skin calm, reflecting the distant lights of nebulae and far-off planets. For the first time in many cycles, she felt a sense of safety, a fragile, growing trust that Marcus's presence had made possible. "They will return," she said quietly, her eyes fixed on the distant stars. "The Empire, my people, the hunters, they will come again." Marcus nodded. "I know, but we've shown them something they don't expect. Strength alone doesn't win battles. Choice does. Morality does. Courage does." Sayla tilted her head. "Humans, strange, but powerful." Marcus smiled faintly. "We survive in ways others cannot predict. We act for what is right, not just for ourselves. That is why we are dangerous to those who rely only on force." The nebula around them shimmered as they prepared for the next jump. Marcus had plotted a course toward an unclaimed system far from any major trade routes. It would be safe, least for now, and it would allow Sayla to rest, recover, and perhaps plan her next steps as a free being. As they traveled, Marcus and Sayla shared stories of their pasts. Marcus spoke of humanity, its flaws, its courage, and its unpredictability. Sayla listened, fascinated. Her species had been taught that survival required strength alone, that mercy was a weakness. Yet here was a human who had chosen protection over profit, morality over fear. She realized that humans' true power lay in their choices, their compassion, and their courage. "You fight for others," Sayla said softly. "Not because you must, but because you choose." "Yes," Marcus said. "And sometimes that choice matters more than strength or weapons. It changes everything." For the first time, Sayla allowed herself to relax fully. She moved through the ship without tension, testing systems and exploring corners she had avoided before. Marcus watched her, noting how her intelligence and adaptability shone when she was free from fear. Hours later, Marcus noticed a faint signal on the sensors, an old transmission repeating in a loop. He studied it, then turned to Sayla. "This is from your people, isn't it?" Sayla's eyes narrowed. "Yes. They are still alive, hidden, waiting, hunted. They need help." Marcus's heart clenched. "Then we will help. That is what humans do. We act when others cannot or will not. We protect." Sayla's glowing skin pulsed with a mix of surprise and admiration. She had never expected a human to risk so much for someone else, for a people they barely knew. "You choose danger for others?" she asked. Marcus nodded. "Yes, it is not easy. It is not safe. But it is the right thing to do." Together, they planned their next move. Using the ship's speed, stealth systems, and Sayla's knowledge of alien tactics, they would locate the survivors and give them a chance to escape. Marcus trusted his human intuition, while Sayla contributed strategy and insight. For the first time, they operated as equals, partners bound by choice rather than circumstance. When they arrived at the hidden system, they found the survivors, small in number but strong in spirit. Sayla's people were wary, defensive, and ready to flee. But Marcus stepped forward, showing no fear, only confidence and sincerity. He offered them protection and a chance to escape the hunters permanently. Sayla watched quietly, amazed. Marcus did not command, threaten, or buy loyalty. He simply acted with morality and courage. Slowly, the